Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Tonight, as we celebrate Mother's Day weekend, because really it should be a weekend, right? We're going to focus tonight on composers that are all women in celebration of Mother's Day. So I hope you'll join us in singing the words Hine Ma Tov by the wonderful composer Ilana Arian. Shabbat Shalom. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Join us. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And I want to say a special Shabbat Shalom to those who are joining us on the internet, those who are at home celebrating Shabbat, whether it's here in South Florida, in Boca Raton, or all around the world. We have to tell you, we had an amazing email that we got this week from a woman who said, I discovered your congregation on Passover, and I attended your virtual Passover Seder, our Hollywood by the... Anybody go to our Hollywood by the Nile Seder and see us publicly embarrass ourselves in various costumes? Good. So she attended this Seder and decided she really wanted to have some more connection to the synagogue. She's been coming to services very frequently and attending some of our programs, and she sent an email and she said, I want to join. This is nice, right? But what was amazing was she lives in Scotland. And it's not like she lives in Scotland like temporarily, like she got stuck there during COVID and has been locked. No, she lives in Scotland, but she wants to be a member of Temple Bethel Boca Raton. So shalom to Scotland, everybody, and wherever else you're joining us from. This week we're going to celebrate motherhood, and we're going to celebrate the imahot. We're going to celebrate the experience of women and mothers in our tradition. In the book of Genesis, at the beginning of the story, when we're taught about the creation of humanity, it says that God created humanity in God's image. In the image of God were we created, male and female, God created them. So there's this question the rabbis ask, if God created one human being to start, how does God create male and female at the beginning with just one human creature? And so in the Midrash, the rabbis say that that original creature was androgynous. All right, so for the young people here who don't know what androgynous means, I'm going to give you your SAT word of the day, okay? You can store this away. I know you're a little young at this stage, but eventually you will have to take this horrible test, and they will ask you for random words. You will now know that androgynous means male and female together. Okay? And so the rabbis describe this being as shtei partsufim, as having two faces. That there was a being that had two faces, and then God decided to turn humanity into individuals, and so God cut them in half, and that created this creature with a back. How many of you have a back? How many of you have a sore back? Right, that happens too, right? But that this original creature, humanity was originally designed to be able to see in 360 directions. Humanity was designed to be able to perceive the entire universe with one gaze. And then we're taught later in the book of Genesis, when God takes a tsela, and that word tsela can sometimes mean a rib, but it can also mean a side. And so God took that first creature and created a side, this side, the back side. And thus we are individuals. But what's amazing about our individuality is that now we can only see this much. Think about it. Human beings can only see 10% of all the light in the universe. 90% of what goes on, we don't see. And if you think about it, unless you are one of these rare individuals that have eyes in the back of their head, most of what goes on in the world we don't see because it eludes our gaze. Judith Plaskow, who was one of the very first women to write a full feminist theology of Judaism, notes that for so long, because Jewish tradition was authored exclusively or almost exclusively by men, we missed more than half of what was the experience of the Jewish people. We missed more than half of what was our people's relationship with the Holy One, how more than half our people heard God's commanding voice at Sinai, and how they tried to engage that conversation with the Holy One throughout the ages. There are women in the Bible who don't even get a name. It's Potiphar's wife, but she doesn't have a name. It's Lot's wife. She doesn't even have a name. Now, of course, she had a name. She had a life. She had an experience. She had, just like all of us do, dreams and wonderments. She had anguishes and disappointments. She had the full range of human experience, but we don't hear from her. And that's why it was so crucial for the Reform movement, and finally the conservative movement seems to be catching up, that we name women's experience along with men. That we have over the last decades sought to take women from the periphery of Jewish life and bring them into the core of public Jewish expression. But we need to remind ourselves that even when women were relegated to the household and men dominated the public square, that doesn't mean that there wasn't women's experience of Torah and tradition. That doesn't mean that there wasn't a dialogue between women and the Holy One to which we ought to have been privy as much as we are to the male dialogue that we see recorded in text and tradition. We just have to learn to study the Torah with better ears, looking for that which is not just in front of us, but that which is also behind us. Because if we really want to experience the fullness of the wisdom and the light of God's presence in the universe, then we are going to have to learn to be a little more androgynous. We're going to have to learn to grow eyes in the back of our heads. And we're going to have to look into the white spaces of text and tradition to recover those voices that can guide us in our own path, in our own understanding, and in our own individual and collective dialogue with the Holy One. Shabbat Shalom. We invite you to, from a social distance, greet those who are seated near you, in front of you, behind you. Wish them Shabbat Shalom. And we invite Emma and Jack Rubenstein to lead us in the kindling of the Shabbat candles and the celebration of Kiddush, beginning on page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzilanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Continue with the Kiddush on pages 4 and 5.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon kinhilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh, zeher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharto, ve'otanu kidashto, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodsheho, ve'ahava uvratzon kinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim, Mazel Tov. Want us, as we begin to embrace this holy time of Shabbat, to take a look at those two candles that are there kindled before us, reminding us not simply of the gift of creation, but also our liberation from oppression and that loving embrace that the Holy One gives us through the very breath and gift of life. And as we embrace Shabbat and welcome God's presence and the ministering angels of God's court to join us in our community for Shabbat, we rise together. On page 24, say, Shalom Aleichem, welcome to you, O ministering angels of peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'achem l'shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu niveh Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzidchem l'shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yai rai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai, yai rai rai rai. sing as we continue with the Baruch Hu, a wonderful setting by cantor Rochelle Nelson.
Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzivahot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, amariv aravim. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, ukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Akein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokveinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu
Please rise.
Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad, Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed.
Please be seated. We invite our bar mitzvah, Grant Mandel, and his parents, Dana and Jason, to lead us in V'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתרתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיהם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God.
I remember growing up, the synagogue that we belonged to was a very kind of informal, very small community. The rabbi worked part-time, and he used to sit with his family on one side of a sort of U of folding chairs at an elementary school. And the cantor was a woman who played guitar and sat with her family on the other side of the U. And I grew up thinking that was normal. And what is so extraordinary about the world in which we live is how, when you're raised in a particular context, no matter what it is, that becomes normal. And what's fun about living in a community like we do here in South Florida, where so many people are from somewhere else, raise your hand if Temple Bethel is the only synagogue you've ever known. All right, there's 3 of... Where have you been? Right? I think we got 4 or 5 people where Temple Bethel... How many of you can say you've been members of at least 4 or 5 different synagogues in your lifetime? How many of you would say this is the best one? That's good. That was what you're supposed to say. But what's so fun is when people come from other synagogues and they say, you're doing it wrong. And what does that mean? You're doing it wrong. And what they mean is, well, you're not doing it the way I was raised to do it. You're singing the wrong melody. You're not doing it right, because that's what we're raised with. We're raised with this idea that the way it is when we're kids is the way it's supposed to be forever. And in order for there to be some sense of change, we have to be willing to acknowledge that there can be another reality. That what we see and what we've always experienced doesn't necessarily mean it always has to be that way. For years, that was the bedrock principle of American law when it came to women. As Ruth Bader Ginsburg argued in her first case before the Federal Appeals Court, the argument the government waged was, well, this is the way it's always been. These are the roles that women have always played, and you can't change it. And she said, oh yeah, you can. Because the more that we develop a sense of appreciation, of greater wisdom, of greater understanding, of a more clear understanding of what it is that God wants for us, we can liberate ourselves from what we always thought it was supposed to be like. And we may find that even though that liberation may be uncomfortable, it may be that liberation is different than the way we always imagined the world could be, we may find that it's only through that liberation that we will make our way to a promised land. Page 40.
חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Ashkivenu, Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, Amideinu Shomreinu leChaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, Amideinu Shomreinu leChaim. Ushmor Tzeitzei
Page 43, we read together, "Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim."
To page 46, we rise for the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Ve'konei Hakol Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot U'mevi geula livnei v'neihem Lema'an shemo be'yahava Melech ozer u'moshia u'magein Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah Ata gibor le'olam Adonai mechayei hakol Ata rav le'oshia morid ata mechalkel chayim bechesed Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim Somech noflim verofech olim Uma asurim Wekayem emunato lishenei afar Michamocha bal gevurot umido melach Melech meimit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanata lechayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai HaKadosh.
Page 55. Together at the top we read, May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle to find rest on this day, may all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Please be seated. We are almost there. In just a week and 2 days, we will gather as our community on Sunday evening to celebrate the Festival of Shavuot, the culmination of our people's journey from the Exodus from Egypt to Mount Sinai and the revelation of Torah. We have been marking these days of the Omer night after night after night, which stand as a reminder that we celebrate and mark this day because we do not know what tomorrow may bring. And so as we say the words of the blessing and count the Omer, we say it with one eye looking behind where we have been and one eye hoping to get to our destination as we go forward.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer היום 41 יום שהם 5 שבועות ו6 ימים לעומר. Today is 41 days, which is 5 weeks and 6 days of the Omer.
We take a moment now for silent prayer and meditation.
This next piece, Ki Elecha, is a beautiful piece written by a woman named Shirona. What is so striking about the piece is how accurately the music sounds like what the words mean. I make pleasant songs and weave verses because my soul longs for you. To know your deepest secret, to be in your hand's shade is my soul's strongest wish. My heart yearns for your love whenever I speak of your glory. So may my thought be sweet to you, for whom my soul longs. Anim zmirot v'shirim erog, ki elecha nafshi tarog, ki elecha נפשי תערוק, כי לך, נפשי תערוק, מדי דברי בכבודך, אומר ליבי אל דודך, אומר ליבי, אומר ליבי. על כן אדבר בך נכבדות, בשמך כבד, בשירי ידידות. כי לך, נפשי תערוק, נפשי תערוק.
We come now to Seder Kriyat Torah, the service, the celebration of the reading of Torah. I invite everyone to please rise.
תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים, כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לימו, תורה לימו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לימו ישראל, בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. לך אדוני הגדולה, הגבורה והתפארת, והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, ויביט נעשה לכל ראש.
I know that Mother's Day must be coming because it got really hot outside. They told me when we moved here that it's really, really nice from October until Mother's Day, from Halloween to Mother's Day. And on Mother's Day, it's like they go into the back of the thermostat and they say, boop, 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 and up the temperature goes. And almost like clockwork, I didn't know that Mother's Day was an agricultural holiday. But here in South Florida, it is, which is perfect for this year as we read Parshat Bahar B'chukotai this week, which is also about our rules of agriculture. So the beginning of the Parsha tells us about what's called the Shmitah and the Yovel. The Shmitah is the every 7-year Shabbat that the land gets. We get a Shabbat every week, once a week. But you can't give the land a day of rest because the land has to get the rain and you have to go out, right? So what God told the land was, you get a Shabbat every 7 years. Every 7 years, no one is allowed to work the land. You can't plant your crops. You can't till the soil. You can't sit there with any of the things. You just got to let what happens. You can eat from what grows, but you can't work the land. You give the land its year of Shabbat. And if you add up all the days in 7 years that we get a Shabbat, you know, all the days in 7 years that a land gets the Shabbat, turns out, same amount of time, 1 whole year. And so as I've been thinking about what does it mean of the Shmitah, what are we supposed to, anyone here a farmer, by the way? No, not me neither. Anyone here live and work on the land of Israel? Not this week. Right now. No, not this week, right. So it seems like a set of rules and instructions that is as foreign as could be to a 21st century American Jew who isn't in agriculture. And it seems really far away from Mother's Day. But as I thought about it, I asked myself, what's the deeper purpose behind the idea of the Shmitah? What was God hoping to teach us in addition to giving the land its rest? What's the lesson behind it? And what I thought about was that it is so easy for us to take the land for granted. We wake up, it's there. We go to bed, it's there. We leave, it's there. The foods grow, the produce we collect and we eat. It is so easy for us to take the land and the ecology and the environment for granted until, of course, it's missing and isn't able to provide for us what we need. How many of you have at times taken your mother for granted? You have to put your hands up for that one. Mine would go up for sure. Hi, Mom. How many of you have wondered about how motherhood is such an important part of how each one of us, and every one of us has a different experience? I was reading today from some of people that I learned from, some of my colleagues and teachers, as they were offering some reflections about Mother's Day. And one of my colleagues said really poignantly, for most people, Mother's Day is a day that they celebrate the woman with great joy and happiness who gave birth to them. That's for most people. But for some people, Mother's Day brings in a very, very, very different element. Perhaps you never knew the woman who gave birth to you. And for you, Mother's Day is the woman who raised you, the woman who took care of you, the woman who watched down upon you even when there was no one else to look after you. Maybe it was the man who did that because your mother was no longer with us. Maybe you had a relationship with your mother that frankly you'd rather not think about. And a day like Mother's Day is a day that's very painful because for you it reminds you of all the things that your mother wasn't there to do for you when she should have been. Parsha teaches us to take nothing for granted, to think about what every single element of our life teaches and provides to us, and be grateful and show our gratitude to the things for which we have been blessed. I, like so many others, am blessed to have a wonderful mother. I had 2 wonderful grandmothers. I have a stepmother, I have a mother-in-law. My cup overflows. But on Mother's Day, whether you have a mother or not, whether you are a mother or not, whether you ever had a mother or not, what you can do to show your gratitude for the blessings you do have, that will raise and elevate everyone in our community. Shabbat Shalom. We are pleased this evening to be joined for the Aliyah virtually by Liz and Adam Johnson.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vaydeber Adonai el Moshe Bahar Sinai Lemor. God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Daber el Bnei Yisrael va'amarta alehem. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, Ki tava'u el eretz asher ani noten lechem shav haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai. When you get into the land which I am giving to you, you will dwell upon it, and you will have a Shabbat for Adonai, for the land. Sheishanim tizroa sadcha v'sheishanim tizmor karmecha v'safta et tevuata. For 6 years you may sow your land, and for 6 years you can collect from your grapevines, and you can eat all of the things that grow. Uvishana hashvi'it Shabbat Shabbaton yehi la'aretz. Shabbat l'Adonai. And in the 7th year, it will be a Shabbat, a full Shabbat for the land, a Shabbat for God. Tzarcha lo tizroa, u'karmecha lo tizmor et safiach, ketzircha lo tiktzor, ve'et anvei nazircha lo tivtzor. Your fields you will not sow, and your vines you will not plant, and you will not work the land. You will not collect. You will not collect the grapes of the overgrowth. You will leave all of that go. Shnat Shabbaton yihiyeh la'aretz. It will be a year of rest for the land. Vayti Shabbat ha'aretz lechem le'ochla lecha ulevadcha le'mitecha ulishkorcha. Excuse me. V'toshavcha hagarim imach. And so, but on that year of Shabbats, you may eat, you and your workers and the other workers and the male and female workers and the people who live there and the supporters and everyone who's in the land, you may eat of that. And your beasts of burden, you may eat everything that comes off of the land as long as you don't work to make it happen. So perta lecha. Sorry, it's my sleeve. Sheva Shabtot Shanim. And you will also count off 7 Sabbaths of years. Sheva Shanim, Sheva Pa'amim. 7 years, 7 times. Vayulacha Yamei Sheva Shabtot Tashanim Tisha Va'arba'im Shana. And so it will be these 7 Shabbatot of years, 9 and 40, 49 years. Vavircha shofar trua b'chodesh hashvi'i ba'asor lechodesh, and you will cause to be blown the shofar on the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, b'yom ha'kippurim, on Yom Kippur. Tivru shofar b'chol artzachem, and you will cause a shofar to be blown in all of your land. V'kidashtem et shenat hachamishim, and you will sanctify the 50th year. Shana v'karatem deror ba'aretz l'chol yoshveha yovel. And you will call this 50th year the Jubilee. Adam and Liz.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Adam and Liz, I know why you are not here tonight, and it's because in the spirit of Mother's Day, you are home with your kids, who I will get to spend 2 fantastic weeks with this summer at Camp Coleman, which I cannot wait for. Just a few short days ago, a week and a half ago, we celebrated the 2 of you as the honorees at our annual gala, at our bash, and we once again are blessed with you having you as part of our community and blessing us this evening with the Aliyah. And so we say to both of you, Misha Berach, Avotenu V'Imotenu. May the God who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless the 2 of you on this year occasion of Aliyah to Torah. May the strength of Torah help you go from strength to strength. May you continue to be blessed by your family and your community, and may we continue to be blessed by having you as a part of us. Mazal Tov and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Would everyone, you're welcome. There's no, it's the voice. Would everyone please rise?
Zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi
Mishaberach Avotenu V'Imotenu. May the God who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bring the gift of refuah shlema, of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit, to those in our families and our communities who are suffering from illness and from injury. Tonight we think of and pray for the healing of Daniela Acuna, Samuel Agranal, Jim Alexander, Benita Appel, Fred Belkin, Margie Berman Block, Kathleen Bowersock, Stephen Brackman, Monica Butchnick, Lynn Edinger, Arnold Erne, Estelle Erne, Eileen Feinerman, Rhonda Finlay, Barry Friedman, Marty Fromowitz, Larry Guys, Ina Goldberg, Jake Goldstein, Larry Goldstein, Marilyn Graff, Allison Gross, Marsha Hoffman, Keith Homer, Michelle Cahan, Marcos Kaplan, Diane Cassover, Deanna Katz, Kristen Kay, Michael Kendhammer, Florence Koish, Nathan Corman, Evan Cole, Mickey Cutler, Leah Batrivka Golda, Jack Leischer, Sally Lindsay, Gary Nath, Victoria Nelson, Eric Nilsson, Cheryl Ornstein, William B. Plow, Helen Reagan-Strife, Jackie Robinson, Eileen Rosenbaum, Alan Rosenfeld, Ellie Roth, Myra Rubenstein, Sharon Rubin, Ruth Moriah Bat Shoshana Miriam, Bonnie Schaefer, Barry Shapiro, Shani Batsara, Len Sirowitz, Mickey Sirowitz, Gail Smith, Rabbi David Spitz, Mark Sosin, Lawrence Spitz, Michael Sprinzen, Jeffrey Stoller, Bob Sugarman, Hannah Tolsis, Samuel Vainberg, Joan Weidenfeld, Audrey Weinberg, Marlene Weissman, Israel Yamuter, and David Zensky. I invite you to add your names that you are praying for healing this evening as you go around the congregation and at home. I invite you to call their names to mind at this moment as well. Baruch atah Adonai Rafeh HaCholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who helps bring healing to the sick.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn now to page 282 for the words of Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula leyotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, begor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר אדוני למלך על כל ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have come and gone, those whose lives brought us joy and celebration, and whose memories live on through us as a blessing. As is our custom, if you're here in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, we invite you to rise as the name of your loved one is recalled. Tonight at the yard site, the anniversaries of their passings, we remember Samuel Abjean, John Adler, Dr. Asher Alpern, Harry Barkan, Herman Becker, Arthur Belfer, Ruth Bletchman, Mary Bloom, Harry Braunstein, Linda Brody, Mirko Brunner, Sydney Chain, Linda Cohen, Sylvia Danitz, Ray Dardick, Saul Distler, Ronald Don, Eileen Fliegelman, Lois Jean Foreman, Gerson Friedman, Ada Smolker Garber, Louise Gentile, Abraham Gewurtz, Miriam Gitlin, Evelyn Gleaves, Gerald Gorman, Morris Grossman, Oscar Grusky, Jeanette Gubin, Albert Hacker, Diana Robin Hammer, Doris Hausman, Leon Hollander, Lila Ivers, Eileen Jacobson, Harry Jacobson, William Joseph, Adrian Kahn, Max Callan, George Jacob Cantor, Neil Kellerman, Celia Ketover, William Kieran, John H. Klassfeld, Albert Kraftstow, Seymour Krieger, Doris Krindler, Mimi Levine, Ruth Levine, Stanley Mann, Bernard Marks, Gertrude Paul Miller, Isaac Solomon Miller, Rabbi Aaron Pankin, Joyce Passaroff, Gerald Peck, Geraldine Pollinger, Howard Pollack, Harry Potash, I. James Prince, Gail Rosenthal, Natalie Rubin, Ida Schwamm, Selma Swartz, Audrey Singer, Rachel Singer, Eva Slupau, Maddie Steinberg, Hyman Stromberg, Dr. Robert Stone, Betty Sweet, Mel Tainater, Lucille Waldman, Edith Wartenberg, Phyllis Green Weidenbaum, Lori Weiss, Max Wenger, Edith Wechsler, and Harold Wilner. And those who passed in the last 30 days, we recall Herbert Spilka, Ellis Berger, Leonard Cohan, Daniel Goldman, Lucille Ellison, Marilyn Rubin, David Foreman, Lawrence Siegel, Zachary Sider, Robert Dale, Herman Becker, Bernice Sloan, Bert Moldau, and Carol Fox. We add to their names those you share with the congregation as we go around. We rise now together and turn to page 294 as together we say the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach erutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, B'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei dekudsha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who sends peace from the high heavens send peace to all of us and comfort those who are bereaved, as together we say, amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Want to offer a Mazal Tov again to our B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow, to Emma and Jack, and to your parents, and to Grant and your parents. You will all do fantastic tomorrow morning from this bima. Tomorrow, Torah study will be online at 9:30 in the morning. On Tuesday, May 11th at 4 p.m. will be Journey to Aleph Bet, the basics of Hebrew reading. Over the past year, Cantor Brock has cultivated a true culture of Hebrew learning with her Hebrew classes. If you missed the opportunity to begin from square one, here it is again. You will learn the Hebrew alphabet, the vowels and pronunciation, and have a great time doing it. This is open for members of the congregation only, and you can sign up at tbeboca.org. If you or someone you know is a parent of a young child and in an interfaith relationship, please join me on Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. online for Unlocking Bedtime, Creating Jewish Rituals for Kids. This is a partnership that we are doing with the organization called 18 Doors. Join me as we talk about rituals, prayers, songs, and discuss a way that you can bring Jewish elements of raising children into the most difficult time of parenting for every parent, getting your kids to bed. And finally, next Sunday, May 16th, will be our celebration of Shavuot, the celebration of holy leadership, what Torah and tradition can teach us about leadership. This will begin online at 7:30 p.m. as we welcome Rabbi Elke Abramson, president of the Wexner Foundation, who will lead us in a conversation about applying lessons from the Torah to leadership today. The Festival of Shavuot, as we know, celebrates the giving of Torah at Mount Sinai and encourages us to embrace Torah's teachings and be inspired by the wisdom Jewish tradition has to offer. Details and registration are, of course, at tbeboca.org. And join us next Friday evening, May 14th, as we honor the confirmation class of 5781.
So special thanks, of course, to Jeff Renza on the drums, who always adds so much fantastic rhythm and energy to our services. And we want to welcome tonight Vindia Kare, who will be joining our Temple Beth El family as an amazing musician, and God willing, for many, 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 many long, happy years of music making to come. We're going to conclude tonight with the words of Osei Shalom, so please join us. Osei Shalom bimromav, Uyasei Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Yai-la-lai. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If as you exit the sanctuary, please return your prayer books to the credenza so we can sanitize them for our next use. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.